Beneath the glittering surface of champagne flutes, red carpet arrivals, and velvet rope prestige lies an industry shrouded in shadows. The limousine business, a symbol of luxury, power, and exclusivity, has long catered to the elite, ferrying celebrities, executives, and politicians in sleek, tinted windowed comfort. But behind the polished exteriors and chauffeurs in crisp uniforms, there's a darker reality, a world of cutthroat exploitation, deadly safety shortcuts, and a staggering human cost hidden in plain sight. This is the untold story of the limousine industry's dark side, a tale of greed, negligence, and the price of living life in the fast lane. By the 1980s, stretch limos became icons of excess, synonymous with Wall Street tycoons, Hollywood stars, and prom night fantasies. But this growth has come at a steep cost. In the race to meet demand, safety standards have been ignored, workers exploited, and regulatory loopholes abused, all while passengers remain oblivious to the risks lurking behind the leather seats. One of the industry's most chilling secrets is its abysmal safety record. Unlike commercial airlines or even ride-sharing services, limousines operate in a regulatory gray area. In the United States, for example, federal oversight is fragmented. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, sets basic vehicle standards, but inspections and enforcement fall to states, many of which lack the resources or political will to monitor thousands of small operators. The result? A patchwork of lax rules and deadly consequences. Take the 2018 Schoharie limo crash in New York, one of the deadliest transportation disasters in U.S. history. A stretch Ford Excursion, modified to carry 18 passengers, careened down a hill at 100 miles per hour, killing 20 people. Investigations revealed a litany of failures. The vehicle had failed multiple inspections, the driver lacked proper licensing, and the brakes were defective. Worse, the limo's owner had been cited for safety violations for years, but continued operating with impunity. This tragedy wasn't an anomaly. Between 2000 and 2021, over 400 people died in limousine-related accidents in the U.S. alone, many involving illegally modified vehicles or unqualified drivers. Modification is where the industry's dangers truly come into focus. To create stretch limos, manufacturers slice standard vehicles in half, weld in extra sections, and retrofit them with amenities like bars, TVs, and sunroofs. But these alterations often compromise structural integrity. Roofs are weakened, seatbelts improperly anchored, and emergency exits blocked. In 2015, the NHTSA found that 90% of stretch limos tested had critical safety defects, including faulty fuel lines and unstable frames. Yet these vehicles remain on the road because no federal law requires post-modification safety checks. Profit margins trump passenger safety, with companies prioritizing flashy interiors over engineering standards. The exploitation extends beyond passengers to the workers who keep the industry running. Limo drivers, often immigrants or low-income workers, face grueling conditions. Many are classified as independent contractors, denying them benefits like health insurance, overtime pay, or workers' compensation. A 2022 investigation in California found drivers working 18-hour shifts, sometimes earning less than $3 an hour after expenses. One driver reported sleeping in his limo between jobs to afford gas. Meanwhile, dispatchers and brokers take up to 50% of fares, leaving drivers trapped in a cycle of debt for leased vehicles. The industry's labor abuses are compounded by its ties to organized crime. In cities like New York and Los Angeles, limo companies have long been fronts for money laundering, drug trafficking, and human smuggling. A 2019 FBI probe uncovered a network of operators using limos to transport cash from illegal gambling rings, while luxury vehicles were seized in raids linked to cartels. Even legitimate businesses face pressure from criminal elements. Drivers in some markets report extortion by gangs demanding protection fees to operate in nightlife districts. Environmental costs add another layer to the industry's dark legacy. Limousines are gas guzzlers by design, with stretch SUVs averaging just 10 miles per gallon. A single hour of idling, common during events or airport pickups, burns a gallon of fuel, emitting 20 pounds of CO2. While electric limos exist, adoption is slow. Less than 2% of fleets are hybrid or electric, as operators resist the upfront costs. The carbon footprint of a single wedding weekend, multiple limos shuttling guests, often for hundreds of miles, can exceed the annual emissions of an average household. Then there's the industry's role in perpetuating inequality. Limousines are a visible emblem of wealth disparity, flaunting opulence in a world where 40% of Americans struggle to afford basic transportation. A one-hour limo ride in Manhattan can cost $150 more than a week's grocery budget for a low-income family. During economic crises, this dissonance becomes glaring. In 2020, as millions lost jobs during the pandemic, social media erupted with outrage over videos of influencers renting limos for isolation parties stocked with designer PP. The limo, once a status symbol, has become a metaphor for a society increasingly divided by class. Even the industry's clientele aren't immune to its dangers. High-profile passengers, celebrities, politicians, CEOs, are targets for surveillance, blackmail, or violence. Paparazzi stalk limos for tabloid photos, while hackers have breached onboard Wi-Fi systems to steal sensitive data. In 2017, a tech CEO was ambushed in his limo in San Francisco, his laptop stolen in a coordinated attack. One company in Miami settled a case in 2021 after a driver filmed passengers undressing via hidden cameras. The industry's response to these crises has been tepid at best. Trade associations tout safety pledges and ethical driver training, but enforcement is voluntary. Lobbyists routinely block legislation that would mandate stricter inspections or driver protections. In 2023, a bill requiring limos to have rollover-resistant roofs died in Congress after heavy opposition from industry groups. Meanwhile, companies invest in PR campaigns to rebrand limos as eco-friendly or community-focused, even as their practices remain unchanged. Some operators are fighting for reform. Veteran drivers in Las Vegas recently unionized to demand fair wages and safety protocols. Startups are piloting apps that let passengers vet drivers and vehicles in real time. Activists have launched Limo Watch groups to report unsafe vehicles. But progress is slow, and the industry's old guard resists change. For every innovator, there are a dozen cut-rate operators undercutting prices by ignoring regulations, a race to the bottom that puts lives at risk. The darkest chapter of the limo industry, however, may be its psychological toll on those trapped within it. Drivers report chronic stress from navigating traffic in oversized vehicles, with one study linking the job to hypertension and depression rates twice the national average. Passengers, too, pay a hidden price. The pressure to project success fuels a cycle of conspicuous consumption. A Wall Street banker admitted in an interview to leasing a limo for daily commutes, despite being $200,000 in debt, to maintain the illusion of wealth. The limo, in this light, isn't just transportation, it's a rolling theater of societal delusion. Autonomous vehicles and ride-sharing apps threaten to disrupt the industry further, with companies like Uber offering luxe tiers at half the cost of traditional limos. But without systemic change, new technology may simply replicate old problems. A self-driving limo with no human accountability could amplify safety risks, while gig economy platforms might deepen worker exploitation. The limousine industry's darkness isn't inevitable, it's a choice. For decades, regulators have turned a blind eye. Consumers have prioritized glamour over ethics. Corporations have chased profits at the expense of lives. Yet the solutions are clear: federal safety standards for vehicle modifications, universal labor protections for drivers, and transparency measures to hold companies accountable. Until then, every champagne toast in a stretch limo will carry the bitter aftertaste of exploitation, a luxury built on the backs of the unseen, and a ride that too often ends in tragedy. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Giant Geek. If you learned something new today, please make sure that you're liking, subscribing, and clicking on the notification bell to make sure that you stay updated with all the new episodes. I always appreciate your time, and I hope to see you on the next one.